Hi, and thank you for giving your time to Unlimited Seating. I'm your host, Sanila Samuel. Through these conversations, Unlimited Seating aims to inspire, educate, and build a community that promotes and celebrates inclusion and diversity in a world where female leaders are still an exception and not the norm. Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unlimited Seating, featuring candid conversations with female role models. I'm your host, Sanila Samuel, and I have a very special guest with me today. I had the opportunity recently to get introduced to Dinkle Shah. Dinkle is a consultant with Deloitte and is based in Mumbai, India. And I'm very excited to share her story with everyone. Hey, Dinkle, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, Sanila. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. I want us to walk through your story, right? Where you started off as a kid to where you are today. I'm going to go back to when you were small, when you were a child, right? Can you walk us through just your childhood in general, where you were in India as well, and walk us through a very important and eventful incident that impacted your life in a big way?
So I was born in Gujarat. That's a state in India. I belong to a Gujarati family. Later on, as soon as I was born, I was being brought to Mumbai, and I've been brought up in Mumbai only. We stayed there, and my childhood was pretty normal, like any other kid. I used to love sports. I still remember I used to take participation in those annual sports events in school and a few hobbies like here and there. I used to love singing and I was a very bad singer even then. I was 6 years old when I happened to visit Gujarat again. It was a family function that I had to go for. As soon as we reached there in Gujarat, just within half an hour, the earthquake happened. And which led me a permanent injury called spinal cord injury. It's a permanent disability that you get. I became a wheelchair user post that. Life was okay. So I was too young to understand anything. Things changed upside down just within a fraction of minutes for me. After I got injured, I my situation worsened because for 9 long hours I couldn't get a treatment because everything in nearby locality was destroyed. So that happened. I got basic first aid and then we came back to Mumbai, got diagnosed with spinal cord injury in hospitals for a year or two from one hospital to another, but then to no effect. Later on, we decided, okay, fine, this is not working out. I need to settle down. I need to come in terms with whatever it's there and need to mend things for myself. I continued my school from then. And as I said, I liked sports activity before also. I later on came into contact with some NGO who organized activity for wheelchair bound people. And they introduced me to sports. There was a very niche area called wheelchair sports, let alone in Mumbai, but then in fact in entire India, it wasn't developed. First of all, if I talk about the people's mentality, they weren't ready to accept us as what we were. I got injured in 2001. Back then, even if I used to walk on the road, I would have 10 eyes on me. Oh, what is she doing on the road? Why is she out? She should be in the bed.
Yeah.
I still remember my relatives coming to my mom and they would be like, why are you making her study also? Why take so much efforts? What
Yeah.
is her life going to be? She's a girl and she's on the wheelchair also. Then why bother? And my mom was like, no, I want her to study. I want her to make her own life, her own career. And I had many challenges with respect to my education also. But then she faced it all. And yes, here I am.
Your mom is a very brave woman because, like you
Yeah.
said, I've grown up in India and everyone wants to comment on your life, right? And what you should be doing and should not be doing. And kudos to your family for kind of not listening and just saying that's not what's going to define you, right? You're going to just carry on. And like you said, come to terms, accept it, and move on. That's just really brave. I did want to say, and when we talked the first time, Dinkle, I was as well thinking about my school, right, where I grew up. It's three or four stories. I don't think I had any class at any point. I was in any classroom which was on the ground floor. I was thinking of you the other day, and I was just wondering how did, and in many schools, even today, I would think there are no lifts or ramps that are helpful for wheelchair bound students. How did you manage?
So initially, the place where I stayed, the school that I studied in, as you said, they had no classrooms on the ground floor. All their classrooms started from first floor. I was too young, so initial years, my mom used to, or my, in fact, for that matter, my family, whoever, used to lift me to the classrooms. In fact, my house was also not accessible. It was at fourth floor. So then they used to lift me to my house also. Later on, that became a difficulty. And then just because of that purpose, we had to relocate. We relocated to some another district altogether. And we found a school which was located at the ground floor. All the classes were on the ground floor
Okay.
later on. But then the problem with that school was they were not very acceptable of me. They were not acceptable of my needs and requirements. I had issues with basic facilities like computer class, or I wouldn't even get an access to physical education class, or they wouldn't be empathetic to she needs something, we should provide it to her. They wouldn't do that. So then later on, I changed that school also as I grew up and went to a better school. But yes, if I talk about schools, even today in India, government has passed a rule where they are supposed to admit students with disability, but they do not do that. In fact, they bluntly refrain or they create problems in a very unusual manner. They did not accept that you can't study in our school, but then they'll start creating problems for you where you yourself say, Acha, okay, I don't want to study here.
Yeah.
So that's the case even today.
Were you a good student? And also, your parents make sure that you got good grades, like all parents in India.
I was a decent student. I'd say I'd attend lectures till in plus two level, but studying wise, I was just average, I'd say.
How about friends? Was it easy for you to make friends at school?
I had lot of classmates, but friends, I can't say really. Obviously, there were people who were very much overwhelmed by uh, the condition that I was in. And some of them wouldn't come even near just because, acha, okay, I'll have to manage her. I don't know how to talk to her. I don't know how to respond to her. So, with that respect, I never had much friends, but yeah.
So, walk us through school, and then you obviously went to college after. What did you decide on, like, how to, what you wanted to study, right? What did you drill down to? How did you get to the subjects that you said you wanted to study in college? Just explain that to us and also tell us a bit about how college life was for you.
So I did my 12th standard. I was never too brilliant to go to science, but then I also knew that arts is not my cup of tea. So then I was left with commerce. But that's how I landed up there. During my graduation years, my family wanted me to be a CA. I pursued it also. I cleared few exams. But then later on, I realized that this is not where I belong and this is not what I want to do. So as my graduation got over, I said goodbye to CA also. I took a break. I worked for a few months. Simultaneously, I had my sports activity going on. And later on, I came with this idea of doing MBA. When I started preparing for MBA, I never had any clue what college, what subject, nothing. But then eventually college got decided as I got to know which are what are good colleges in India, what are good colleges in Mumbai. So that's how I summed up to a college in Mumbai. At that time, it was a top one college in Mumbai. So I went there. Even after going to that college, I wasn't sure what subjects. But then first year we have to study all subjects. During that time, I figured out I'll be a marketing person. My soul belongs there. I pursued marketing as my specialization, and through campus placements, I got recruited in Deloitte and currently working for their consultancy business.
Okay, great. I'm going to go back to this whole conversation of friends, Tinker. Uh, Having friends are a very, integral part of the school experience and the college experience. In college, did you get friends during college, during your graduation and post graduation?
I had some of the other people with me. I had couple of friends as well, not that I was alone. I had few friends, but then quite limited. I am very introvert by nature also. So
Yeah.
even I approach very few people. So
Okay.
that way. But then I had very few of them, but very close ones.
Excellent. Okay. I do feel that people tend to have barriers in their mind, and we're talking about inclusion a lot. Just like you said, I think people tend to hesitate when they see someone in a wheelchair, and you probably
Yeah.
experienced that. And in their minds, they're thinking, I don't know how to approach this person. Share some advice. What would you tell people who naturally get those barriers in their mind? What if you were to go back and tell other, say, students at school or college or even colleagues right now? What would you tell them?
I think we are just normal beings as you are. It's just that we have some physical condition, but then that's okay, right? I'd say approach us as casually as you would approach anybody else. So that's a piece of advice.
Yeah. Just like we're having the conversation right now.
Yeah, yeah. Or they see somebody with some special needs or condition, they have this notion in their head that, oh, they'd have to be extra sensitive with us or they'd have to be extra helping or extra caring. I'd say we don't need any of that. Just be who you are. I still have friends. In fact, I have cousins who me like anything. But then that's okay. That's because we share that bond, not just because I'm on the wheelchair that everybody would be extra sweet to me. So that's how it should be.
Absolutely. I think that when we see a person in a wheelchair, for us, that's what, and this going back to here, what defines you, right? It's not the wheelchair. It's not, say, if it is a person who's vision impaired, there's that walking stick. That's not what defines the person. It's about just getting to know the person who has come to terms with their condition, right?
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends. In fact, generally, a lot of people believe that oh, we are on a wheelchair, our struggle story should be highlighted, or the life that we have lived should be taken across, taken in the lights of the people and things like that. But this is what I believe. I am on the wheelchair. I have not done anything in that. That's given. What I would like to highlight is the work that I do. For example, I am a consultant in Deloitte. I would like to talk more about the work that I deliver in Deloitte. Or let's say I play sports, so maybe my performance in the games or what my future goals are rather than my struggle story or how pitiable or how so supposedly miserable my life would be or
Mm.
would have been. Yeah. So the shift of minds are needed.
Absolutely.
We do not need sympathy or pity. In fact, we don't even deserve that. All we are asking for is people's empathy. And
Absolutely. Sports. I wanted to talk a lot about the sports because it's been a common theme from childhood to now. And you also said that you are, as we speak, you're doing a lot of preparation for a couple of different sport. First, I guess, tell us what all sports you do play. How do, where do you find the time for it? Because obviously you're working as well. And tell us a little bit about the team as well that you're in.
after my accident, for a few years, I obviously didn't play. I was getting in terms with my condition and getting to making my body more healthier and fitter. Later on, since 2006, I started playing sports. As I mentioned about this NGO, it used to conduct a lot of district level activities or inter NGO sports activities. There were few games like throw ball or tennis and basketball. And then that went on and off. I was playing sports. Sometimes I won, sometimes I won. But then until 2015, it was all unorganized and at some random level. But 2015 was the year when I participated for a national basketball event that was happening. That was very rare in India. Some sports event happening at a national level, at least new to me. It was just a second year that the championship was being conducted as well. And it was very raw at a very nascent stage also. I participated in that year and managed to win a gold medal for. It wasn't a state team at that point because, as I mentioned, it was a very nascent stage. There were team from multiple states formed, a mixed team from all states formed. One player would be from Maharashtra, some other player would be from Punjab, some player would be from Delhi. That's how mixed team was formed. Later on, things got little organized from 2016, but then I couldn't participate because I was preparing for my MBA entrance exams. 2017, I got a chance to represent India at an international level. That was the year where not only I was going international to represent India for the first time, but then basketball as a game from India was also going for the first time. So over there also we managed to bag a bronze medal. 2018-19, I managed to play, but then that was with my studies. That was there since 2020. The lockdown happened. 2021, I participated in badminton tournament for the first time, and I won a bronze medal in that tournament also. The journey in sports has been going fairly decent. I need to make this more serious now. Before work, it was easy to take time, but then after work, it gets difficult because at times we have to work on weekends as well, and weekends are the only days where we have to practice. So it's getting a little crazy to manage things, but I'm trying to strike a balance between.
Do you think that you would sometime take a break so you can focus professionally on the sports, on badminton or basketball?
For honestly, for practice, not the break, but then in the later years when I'm preparing for some serious international tournaments and stuff like that, yes, I might require.
I know the last time we talked, you talked about the difficulty in finding a coach.
Yeah, at least in India, the situation is facilities, we certainly do not have them. When it comes to finding a coach for people on wheelchair, it becomes all the more difficult because people do not know how to coach us at first place. And the ones who know, half of them are intimidated and do not want to take the responsibility of us. We tend to fall a lot of times. And a lot of times we tend to have injuries also. They do not want to take risk with all those things happening. So then they deny. Then after subtracting all these things, we are left with a very small group of people who are ready to coach us. And then it depends on their availability, whether they want to coach us or no, or whether they have enough time to do that or no.
Right.
So, yeah, it becomes very difficult to find a decent coach. And then when we have a coach, it's all the more difficult to find a accessible place to practice. So, yeah, a lot of challenges on that.
And currently, you have a good team of peers who you're able to play with and train together.
Yes, for basketball, we have a team that is like a 5-year-old team now. We have a team of 6 coaches in Maharashtra, the state. So half of them are in Mumbai. Pretty good facilities over there. For badminton, I am the only person on the wheelchair in the entire Mumbai. Currently preparing for nationals. I'm still, I would say, struggling to find a decent coach, decent facility. Yeah.
Okay. I'm wishing you all the best with your future sports endeavors. I was actually going to ask you later to let me know what's coming up and where I can watch the game as well. So, Dinkle, coming back to your role as a consultant, what is it that you enjoy about it? And also share with us how you're thinking about career growth. What do you think you're consciously doing to keep growing within the organization?
I love consultancy. I love it because I, as a person, to learn a lot. And consultancy as a profession has a very wide spectrum to work on. You get to work from tax to marketing to IT to HR, everything. That's what keeps me going. And as a future goal as well, from a professional perspective, I say the only thing that I'm doing currently consciously is learn more, get more skills, work more diligently. People notice when you work, when you deliver. I think that's enough then.
Excellent. Something interesting that you told me when we started about the gender diversity where you work, and we said it's almost like 40-50% split male, female. That's great. I don't know if Deloitte is doing something targeted to get that really good balance at the workplace. Have you felt that gender diversity really helps when in that teamwork and in the consulting environment? And also, do you feel the need for kind of mentors to help as you are working towards rising up in the organization?
Yes, mentor, definitely yes. Everybody needs one, no matter at what level they reach, wherever they, you definitely require a mentor. About gender diversity, so I'd say Deloitte is diligently working on inclusion and diversity since last a couple of years now. And women inclusion, LGBTQ inclusion, people with disabilities inclusion has been their agenda. Not since 1 year or 2 year, it has been a long time now. They are very particular about giving equal opportunities. They see to it that if a project is out, everybody, be it women or be it men, everybody gets an equal opportunity. That's the area where Deloitte is working fabulously about having more women in workplace more than from more than an equality perspective. I think even a team as a whole benefits. The deliverable, you get to understand a different perspective altogether. Not, you don't see a perspective from just men's point of view, but then from a different women's point of view as well. So that way it's beneficial, not just for the women who are there in the team, but to the team as a whole and to the client as well.
Very well said. We think about workplaces as well, right? Just in terms of the physical infrastructure, the ease of getting a wheelchair into an office, getting around cubicles or whatever the spaces. I just think that it really helps when you're increasing the amount of diversity in the workplace, because it's then that you start thinking of, is this workplace just built for somebody who is able to function without any other support? But yeah, just look at regular workplaces, you can see that there's very little thought to inclusion when it comes to
Yes.
people who are wheelchair bound or people who need any other support. I just think there's so many things to think about. And the more we have conversations with everybody, it's like you said, to not let the fact that somebody's in a wheelchair overwhelm you, but to go have those conversations and then you understand better what is needed to make everyday process like more inclusive. Let me ask you a very important question, Nikram. Who are your role models?
It's a very tricky one. I'd say I honestly do not follow anybody particularly. I'd be very honest with you. I just keep striving on my own. Just see to it that the place that I was in yesterday, I'm not in the same place today. So when I'm in the workplace, I look up to somebody who's good at work, who's delivering well, who's at some level, whose principles are right. When I am on the pod, I look up to somebody who's not necessarily won a lot of medals, but then who thinks through things right, or who knows the core of, who knows the basic of the games and who was being able to teach me. But then generally it's me comparing to myself, whether I'm stuck at the same place or.
Great. I think that's a great way to look at it, right? Am I getting better every day? I know we talked about you coming on the podcast, and I just looked there with the passion in your voice when we first talked, because it was not about, hey, I've been unfortunate and I've had struggles, but I think the way you are talking about, that kind of the lack of inclusion and the way people have thought about, hey, how is the physical setup at the school? How are people approaching me? How do I find coaches for sport? You were thinking about it in a way of, how do I spread awareness about it, right? Because we all need to be thinking about it and helping make the world a better place. So I feel you're a great spokesperson. What are you thinking? And I will say, think about 5 years, 10 years down the line. Have you consciously thought about, hey, I do want to tell the world that, hey, being in a wheelchair doesn't stop you from doing what you are meant to do. Pursue a career, pursue the sports that you love, and make your big achievements? Or is it something that you're consciously thinking about?
Nina, to do that, I think I'll have to be somebody's role model, which I'm not really interested in.
Totally. That's why you're here.
I believe people should think these things on their own. The only thing I would like to tell, not just people who are on the wheelchair, but then to people in general also who are stuck in some or the other situation, stop self pitying. You need to stop thinking, I'm stuck somewhere. Oh, I can't move on. I can't get out of it. There is always a way out. You need to stand up and start working upon it. People should know about the few things that we require: accessibility, For example, if somebody is here with a speech impairment, how are you planning to talk to them? You need to have something figured out. They do not have any solution for that. So, not just awareness about people who are on the wheelchair, but then in general, the entire spectrum of it. I'd like to spread awareness. So, I'd say I'm a part of that initiative. I am trying to flag the things that they have not thought through yet. So that's where I'm working upon. I'd like to collaborate with a lot of NGOs about spreading awareness about accessibility, work on not just spread awareness, but then go out on the roads and actually work on the area.
Yeah.
So that's something that I take on me.
I'm really looking forward to all that, Dinkle. And if there's any way that I can help at all, please do let me know.
Sure.
I will correct you on one thing you said, though. You are a role model. And that's why when we first talked, I said that I have to get you on. Just and if for a number of reasons, Dinkle, unlimited seating is about having everyday role models. And I love the way that you're not just settling as, hey, this is me and I'm going to manage with what I have, and really striving to grow at work, and you're striving to do really great at the sports that you enjoy as well. So you are a real role model. And of course, you were so willing to come on and share your story in such a strong way. So continue to be that role model. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and also about you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanila.
Thank you for staying with us for another episode of Unlimited Seating. Unlimited Seating is available on all major podcast directories, and you can also watch us on our YouTube channel. Please do share your feedback. Alternatively, you can subscribe to us at www.unlimitedseating.com and get notified when new episodes are published.